Hello, welcome to my channel, the Grape Jelly Library. I'm so glad that you could join me. My name is Flo, and I love to talk about books. I hope you do too. That's why you have landed here on my channel. Anxious to talk about those books, what we've read and what we plan on reading. A couple of books that I have just come out of have been 4 5-star reads. So I'm happy to report that we're going to talk about 4 books today. Each and every one of these books very unique in their own ways. Oh, hello. I hope you are doing well out there. The weather where I am from is chilly. It's cold. And I'm over it. I am a spring baby, and I cannot wait for that heat to bake itself down upon me. I like it 100 degrees. No lie. But anyways, let's get to these books. These are 2 of the books that I have read. I'm holding them in my hand. I did 2 physical books and 2 audio books. So let's talk about Counting by Sevens. I read this book. It is written by Holly Goldberg Sloan. And over at Chatty, the Mad Chatters channel, she was doing a middle grade March read. So a couple of us read this book. I believe Kelly Reads a Lot, Bandana Book Mom. Those are the 3 that come to mind. But we took this book on, and I don't think there was a negative thing said about this book. It is the story of a little girl who was adopted, and is given the name Willow Chance. And she's highly intelligent, but she's quirky, and that's all right. She loves her botany, her flowers, her garden, nature. She loves diagnosing medical conditions. So often she is seen wearing a gardener's overall outfit because that's where she could be found. In the garden, or reading, or looking up medical terms. Very, very bright for a 12-year-old girl. One day in school, they were given a test. The students were given a test. And because she finished early, it was assumed that she cheated. So, to the guidance counselor with you, Miss Chance, when she arrived there, there was a little boy who was also there to see his guidance counselor for something that he had done. However, the little boy's older sister heard his name being paged over the intercom, and she immediately went to see, get to the bottom of this. Why would you be paging my brother when he didn't do anything wrong? She goes by the name of Mai, and she is a, take no poop kind of girl. She just will not stand for bullying, for lack of a better word, or misrepresentation, or accusations, innuendos. What's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. And if it's right, she's cool. But if it's wrong, she's going to say something. And so there she was in defense of her brother. It is there where Willow met Mai and became in awe of Mai. Mai and her brother Quang Ha had a mother whose name was Patty, and she owned and operated a nail salon. And they lived in the back alley garage just away from the salon. And the key word there is garage, meaning no kitchen, no running water. They're doing what they have to do to get by. Somewhere along these lines, Willow's parents get injured in a car accident and perish. Now, Willow finds herself for the second time in her life with the loss of both parents. So, the story is based upon that now. Will Willow use this experience to become bitter, to go down into a deep, dark abyss, never to come out? Will she use her charms and powers and lessons that she learns from this for the good? Just how is she going to make it in this world? It's a lovely story. I would recommend it. It's a fast read. It's called Counting by Sevens because that is one of the things Willow used to love to do before the loss of her parents, was count by sevens in a sort of meditative, Nixon kind of way. And after her parents perish, she no longer practices that. I do have to say my favorite, or what I felt was the cleverest thing of all in this book, and that was that Willow is a reader and Patty, the nail salon owner, in an attempt to try and perk Willow's spirits up, thought that this lovely shade of nail polish would look nice against the skin tones of Willow, and that shade was called Well Red. I love it. So I had to get on the internet and see if that color existed. I did come up with one version of it. But I just think that's a brilliant name for a bottle of red nail polish. I don't know. Maybe it's the little things in life that amuse me. I don't know. But I certainly got a kick out of that. And I wanted to mention that. All right. The second book that I read. Woo! Look at me go as a reader. In honor of Middlemarch. And that's why I chose that one. And really, you could read middle grade books any time of the year. Sometimes we just need that escape. And I am seriously debating, because right now, Audible has a whole slew of books that are buy one, get one free. And Charlotte's Web is one of those. And although I do own the physical copy, I feel like, I don't know, it might be the right time for me to revisit that. I'm kind of, over all the hustle and bustle of the world, and I'm finding comfort in my own dwellings, the dwellings of my house and around the property, and I cannot think of any place I would rather be than home. And I dread it when I have to go out that door. Especially to work. But anyways, with that whole, enjoyment of my environment, I pulled The Hobbit off of my shelf, J.R.R. Tolkien, and I didn't know what to think of this going in. I also did the Audible version of this, and the narrator did an exquisite job. It sucked me right in. I know nothing about The Hobbit or the trilogy. Never saw a movie, never was in a crowd that was discussing it, just knew of the name and the author. So the narrator begins to tell me this story, and he's painting a very picturesque scenery for me, and I am loving it. I can hear the flutes in the background, and I can hear the fluttering of butterfly wings and the buzzing of bees and the chirping of birds, and it sounds like a very lovely place to be. As the book goes on, I am discovering that upon the quest that the Hobbit, Bilbo Baggins, takes on a challenge and an adventure, most importantly, to go and get the treasure from the dragon Smaug, who kind of came down and took over the land and stole the treasure, and now he is up here on this lonely mountain guarding it. So that's the quest, to go get the treasure off of the dragon. So Baggins decides that he's up for that challenge, and away we go. It is very beautifully told. J.R.R. Tolkien's definitely has the gift of word and fluidity. He can make those words on a page smooth like butter and just flow downstream like water. Really, really enjoyed that part of the book as well. I am going to be doing a reread of this book because I did not follow along with the book. I just had it read to me. I chose to do it the Audible version because that was my companion for the week, my writing buddy to and fro from work. This time around, I feel like the narrator set me up in a good spot. He did such a good job in descriptive narrative that I feel like the tone of voices have been set and the characters have been set up for me in terms of personalities, how they speak, if they are quick-witted, if they are more kicked back and relaxed. Kind of like each Smurf has its own identity and its own personalities. There you go. So do these hobbits. So I feel like I would like to read it myself and now just put my own twist on it. Some of the words, unfortunately, were lost in translation for me because perhaps at times I was paying a little bit more attention to a stop sign or a red light or a pedestrian, and I might have missed a thing or two. So definitely would like to reread this. But I'm not sure when. I feel like I hit the nail on the head in choosing the spring season for this. It does feel like a spring read to me, although that statement is very untrue. I am just going by my feels, and were I to get to this, it definitely would be pulled off the shelf in the spring. So maybe before the spring is over, I will, I don't know, pick it up again if I don't get myself into any other kind of mischief. Those of you who know me know, that's easy for me. I don't even have to go looking. It just finds me. All right. So now a book I did the Audible version of. And I did an e-reader version of it. That's quick. It's over with before you can blink your eye. It's a little novelette, if you could even call it that. And it is written by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it is called The Jelly Bean. I originally did the e-reader version of it. I read it on my phone in between breaks here and there. And then I went and I did the YouTube. There's a ton of YouTube channels who will read this to you for free. And the one that I listened to, I'll try to find it and put the link in the description. He did a great job. Maybe some do a better job, but I was satisfied with it. It is the story of a man named Jim who is called a jelly bean. A jelly bean is referred to as somebody who is idle. They are not ambitious at all. They do the least amount of exerting forces as possible. And he's known in the town, and he'll take odd jobs here and there just to survive life. He's invited to a party by one of his friends, and he's unfamiliar with females. So the last thing he wants to do is get up there on the dance floor and dance with any of them. So he rethinks his decision about actually saying he will go, and he asks his friend, okay, you know what, I kind of had a change of mind. You could let me out of the truck and I'll just walk the rest of the way home. And his friend is like, oh, nonsense, it'll be fine. You don't have to dance with anybody. I'll do the dancing, and in between dancing, I'll come, you know, and check in on you and visit with you, and it'll all be fine. It'll be great. Well, it's at this dance that he meets a promiscuous, shall we say, type of a woman. It's a very innocent book. There's no hanky-panky, nothing like that going on. It's an all right read. It's very vanilla, that's for sure, but I like vanilla. Vanilla's my favorite flavor next to coconut. So, I don't know. I was okay with it. If you are interested in reading that, like I said, there's a ton of people who will read that for you on YouTube. So, and then one of the books that I read, and the last book that we will talk about today, is a book called Salito by Xavier Zamora, and it looks like this. And it is the story of a 9-year-old boy, oh God love him, a 9-year-old boy who is making the trek from El Salvador to the United States. He's traveling through Guatemala, Mexico, across the border into the United States to reunite with his mama and his papa. He is residing in El Salvador with his grandmother and grandfather and his aunt. And what should be a 2-week trek, turns in to be a 2-month excursion of terror. No bathrooms. Hardly any encounters with running water. A bunch of strangers, just strangers he does not know, traveling with the coyote whose job is to get him across the border safely, where monies will be exchanged and he will be released to his parents' arms. And he doesn't really remember his father, and his mother had left 4 years ago. So he's basically going back home to reunite with strangers. So there's that. The book takes us along the way of what happens to him during this trip. They say, you will one day take a trip, son. And that day has finally come. So the grandfather sends him off. The grandfather was very rough and tumble. He was a drinker. He was abusive. With age, he calmed his ways. And so those growing up around or being raised by the grandfather know his wrath. But the grandfather is showing his tender side, kind and loving, caring. And I will take this youngin, my youngin, to reunite with his parents. And I will take him to the drop-off point. And I will give him the best advice I can, which is stay in the sights and care of this certain older gentleman who turns out to be not exactly the person who should have been entrusted in the care of this little one. He didn't much care. But the story, without giving spoilers away, goes on from there and talks about his endurances and trekking through the deserts, the dry sand, the FBI agents that are on their tail, a young romance or crush, having to call another total stranger mom in order to pull the jig off. There's a lot to this story. It's very detailed. That's the only downfall. That's the only reason why I didn't give it a 5-star. This narrator, who is the author, actually takes you through every single breath of his life from that point to this point. And I felt like there was a lot of things that could be safely omitted, but I'm going to say, coming out of the book, hindsight 2020, that I appreciate the in-depth knowledge and the reiterations, perhaps, that helped to concrete the story in my mind or help me to see the severity of the situation. A 2-week trek took 2 months. So that in and of itself is a huge part of the dark cloud that hangs over this little boy's head throughout the book. It is not, I wouldn't say, a tearjerker. I didn't cry. I didn't feel at any time that I might. It's a sad story, but it's a story that is worth visiting. And I will say, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I will say, coming out of the book, blue skies, without trying to give too much away. Okay, so just take that for what it's worth. And they are the 4 books that I have recently read. Comment below if you have read any of these books. Comment below. Let me know, what are you reading? Perhaps I would like to dig into one of your deep dives. I'll tell you what I am reading right now, and I am excited to get that done. I am 8 chapters in. I am reading a book about John Gotti. So very soon I will be finishing that and doing a book review on that. So stay tuned in the very near future for that. I cannot end this video without giving my subscribers a shout out. Thank you so much. I am going to make a community post thanking each and every one of you not, you know, by name, because I don't know all of your names or anything like that, but I mean like collectively as a group, calling out to you and letting you know how much I appreciate you and your subscribes. They mean the world to me. I don't get too hung up on a number, but I'm not gonna lie, it's exciting to see this setup 100 numbers turn into this set of 100 numbers. So here's to all of you, and thank you so much for what you bring to my channel. Until my next video, may all your book dreams come true.